Welcome, sentient beings from all known universes and beyond. It's time to activate your cranial downlinks and prepare to receive a raft of discussion on a cosmic ocean of science fiction and fantasy topics, interviews with local area genre devotees, and insightful prognostication by our soothsayers of science fiction, our forecasters of fantasy, and any other beings that happen to get caught in our gravity well. This is the Galactic Driftwood Podcast.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Galactic Driftwood Podcast. I'm Bill.
I'm John.
I'm Charles.
I'm Hardy.
And I'm Seth.
Seth, not Shawn.
Seth, not
Seth,
Shawn.
not Shawn.
I think I finally got that down now. It's taken me a couple of weeks.
We'll see. Let's make it through this episode.
Yeah, let's see if we can do that.
Oh, sounds good. Well, so this week we kind of had a fun get-together. Unfortunately, John wasn't able to make it, but the rest of us got together.
I watched 15 minutes of YouTube video on Last Starfighter, and I think I got just as much out of it as you did. So,
Okay, so we all got together and we watched an episode. We watched the film The Last Starfighter, which came out in the 80s, and it was much more entertaining than Krull. Wouldn't you agree?
I think
no, not at all. Krull was amazingly entertaining when you look at it in the right context.
Krull was amazingly entertaining with professional people to make fun of it.
Yes.
I thought that The Last Starfighter was entertaining enough just on its own.
But we
Yes.
all got scared at the beginning because of the long shot where we thought there might be horses.
Yeah.
That's right.
I don't think we were scared. We were just like, this is different now. Better, but different.
Yes, right. And the aliens, the Kodan Armada, which of course was attacking the peaceful worlds of the galaxy, which had been protected by a giant shield sphere.
The Frontier.
The Frontier, they called it.
That's a terrible, terrible plot. That's awful. It's like thousands of light years of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Well, and that was actually our discussion, was that there was an article that I saw this week that a company had gone in and done an estimation of the cost to construct various science fiction objects. For example, the Starship Enterprise, the Death Star from Star Wars. And the Death Star from Star Wars was the largest object that they estimated the cost for, and they said the price to construct it, including materials, and this was just materials, the cost of the materials themselves and getting that material into orbit didn't include labor costs. They estimated it at $17.5 million.
What's a nonillion?
It's a number with 32 zeros after it.
So what you're saying is that doesn't exist. The money doesn't exist.
They said something about it would take like 1,000, the revenue from 1,000 million Earths.
Why did
1,000 million.
they were estimating how much it would cost to take the material into orbit?
They estimated the cost of lifting the material
that would be
into
silly.
orbit.
Why not?
Yeah,
There's stuff in the
that's-
asteroid belt you could use that's just
true.
actually easier. You
Yeah,
don't have to
you
lift it out
can-
of gravity well.
Yeah, you construct almost every spaceship in a space dock. You don't.
Yeah. Well,
I know,
even the little toaster things that ran around the thing, it was like 17 million just for the little toaster things.
Well, yeah, that's defense spending. That sounds about right. But
Yeah.
but no, the materials aren't the big problem. It's like the big problem would be the technology level we have. You can't build that with shuttle era technology, and we don't even have that. So we're talking about Soyuz technology.
Yeah.
We'd be launching it like 1960s
Right.
Russian rockets would be building a Death Star. So no.
Well,
But-
and next generation accounting systems. Evidently.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know what that means.
Not yet. But if you're going to build a Death Star with that kind of deficit,
Well, actually, it's so far outside of the experience of what the social construction of money is. It's not a real number. There's no way to do that in
Right.
terms. You'd have to reshape the entire economy.
Yeah.
to actually do it. And I don't know about next generation,
Now, and the
but maybe.
And the
I mean,
Death- the
they
Death
didn't
Star-
have money. So
the Death Star itself, the size of a small moon, right? Huge. Now imagine the Frontier, which which consists of what appeared to be a series of satellites or devices
At very close
at
proximity.
Yeah.
very
so-
close proximity,
so-
like less than a mile, half mile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Maybe?
it's space distances, so
Or
we
a
could
mile?
assume
Space
even if
distances.
they're well,
Even 10 miles.
from our perspective in the movie.
Yes,
I'd assume
yes.
that they're even maybe up to a couple hundred miles.
You might have
apart.
had the
Okay.
effect. You might have had the effect that in space,
You could see
sometimes
them-
things appear closer than what they are.
Yeah, but they didn't appear to be large devices,
no,
that's
and you
okay,
could
yeah.
see a lot of them.
And
Yeah.
we know how
Okay.
big.
And you couldn't see 100 miles away.
Okay.
We know how big the Last Starfighter was, and we could see it in relation to the size of those things, and it wasn't miles.
No.
It was like feet.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it
So-
seemed like
Yeah.
maybe half mile at most.
Yeah.
All right.
Or-
Yeah, I'll go with that.
Okay.
So, but so a network of those really close satellites encompassing solar systems, whole.
Yes,
Solar
all the
system-
peaceful
lots of
solar,
solar
systems
systems.
of the galaxy.
That's inconceivable. That's
There is a way it could work.
okay.
Your Van Neumann probe. You-
Von Neumann.
Yeah, Von Neumann.
Yeah, the Von Neumann probe.
You construct 10 of these, let them loose in an asteroid field with the instruction to replicate, and then they build themselves. That's
Yes.
about the only way that would work.
I
How
can
long
see
would
that. I
how
can
long
see
would the
that.
asteroid belt last?
Right?
Well, then they move on to the next one. There's plenty of
Or
the,
dead planets.
or the Oort cloud of any solar system. The debris cloud from the formation of the solar systems has quadrillions and quadrillions of tons of stuff, and that's what Van Neumann probes would do. They would take that stuff and make it into what we need.
Okay, but now here's
But it would take a long time.
You
to
should
do
really
that.
like
Here's the
flash up
problem.
a picture of what we're talking
I'll do
about
that.
in
I'll do
post.
that. I'll do that. Now, here's the problem I see with that. You've got these self-replicating organisms that are going willy-nilly through the universe,
Humans.
finding resources, replicating themselves.
Humans.
Now, you could probably encode them with instructions that if it's a planet inhabited with life, they skip over that planet.
Yeah, but machines break.
Or they run into other machines, a la V'ger, and their programming gets altered. And instead of seeking out new life, they seek out and sterilize new life in the case of V'ger. But in case of these probes, maybe they start seeking out planets with life and converting that life into...
Well, one broken von Neumann probe will destroy the universe, given enough time. It will just keep making more of its own
Right.
forever. And once they do, they spread out. You just can't get them all.
Right.
It's there's
like
just-
the replicants in Stargate.
Yeah, the replicators. That's
Yeah.
exactly what that is. That's what the replicators do. They just make stuff more of themselves.
Didn't say it was a good idea of how to make the frontier. I just said it's a possible idea of how they made the frontier.
Well, no,
Right.
and it goes along with definitely with human thinking in terms of these things. It's like you know about the AI, the Google AIs that have their own language, right?
No.
They talk to each other,
Hmm.
and we don't know how to understand it. And Google doesn't seem as concerned as I am about that. I don't think that's
Yeah,
necessarily.
they
Hmm.
created a couple of computers that could communicate with each other, and
They
pretty
invented a
soon
language.
they invented their own language to speed up their communication, and to the
We-
point where we didn't understand the
we don't
language
understand
itself,
it,
but
yeah.
whatever they were doing was working.
Yeah. So, the dangers of that should be self-evident to you, and I think it is.
Yeah, nothing to worry about there.
Yet Google doesn't seem concerned. It's like the mentality that would create von Neumann machines in terms of efficiency don't really look at all the aspects of the efficiency that they're actually enabling. You know, it's like, yes, von Neumann machines are tremendously efficient, but that efficiency,
Not a great idea.
in the end,
So I think you'd actually have to have the von Neumann machines that are creating the frontier machines, because the frontier machines are obviously just sitting there not making more machines, they're protecting things. So you have the von Neumann machines that are building the frontier machines that just, once they're constructed, they go to a predefined coordinate and link up with the
Mm-hmm.
next device to begin extending the shield. So,
But yeah, overall, not a great idea for a setting.
yeah.
It's like the amount of time involved in filling countless light years of space with these devices
Yeah.
is amazing. And what did they do? They didn't seem to stop
No.
anybody from doing anything.
Well,
Right.
it stopped the Armada for however many years it stopped them. But I guess once they've made it through, you've invested all that time and money and nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And up until then, it's just kind of like, we care about the people inside the shield. Everyone else, screw 'em.
Oh,
Right.
so it's literally the what are the frontier? Is that what the
Yeah.
group is?
No, that's what the shield is
That's
called.
what the shield is
What is
called.
who are the Last
This-
Starfighters? Are they a federation or a
They seem to be. There was only
Yeah.
like one planet and
Rhinos.
only one star base we ever saw.
Right.
And
And
like-
all the starfighters were at that one base, and there was only like a dozen of them for light years of
Systems
space
and
that
systems.
could be invaded.
Hundreds of worlds of protection at this one place. So I'm guessing they were just like, well,
So it's the Green Lantern philosophy of like one protector for 280,000 galaxies.
Well,
And it's
or-
like,
yeah, well, it kind
There
of
was
that.
only one person
but
left in the universe
if there were,
with a good enough credit rating, and that was that kid at the trailer park.
it's like the Green Lanterns. If there were 16 Green Lanterns and they all stayed on Oa all the time.
Well, where does our Green Lantern stay? Earth, all the time on Earth. And
Well-
it's like he's got thousands of other galaxies to take care of. But
Well, no, he's the Green Lantern for our system, or for our.
that's not the way it was explained in the terrible movie that Ryan Reynolds was in.
That's because it was a terrible movie.
Oh,
Like every system is supposed to have its own Green Lantern.
help me, oh canon god.
I'm
What-
terrible on DC canon, but I know that there's like a whole each of them has a range of responsibility that might encompass several systems, but not like everyone just hanging out on Oa. And
Well, that's what it seemed to be in the movie. They were just hanging out on Oa. But
No,
no,
that's
that's
the
bad
movie.
movie. Bad movie. I dig, but no, I dig where you're coming from, in terms of the Starfighters. Didn't do anything. But what kind of mentality builds a wall and and shuts themselves off
From the rest of the.
of the universe? I can't understand that. I just
Well, and then what I thought was
Of course, some
really
alien tunnels under it.
was really ridiculous. Well, yeah,
isn't that what
because
they did?
building a wall never works.
technically because they used a low tech solution. Because granted they had to use some high tech lasers to breach the frontier, but once they breached the frontier, what did they do? They shot asteroids through it to take out the starbase, the
to
last
get
Starfighter
drugs
base.
to Rylos. I mean,
Yes. So I mean, they. How much do you suppose the creation of the frontier cost just to have it breached by a few lasers and then these asteroids thrown through to take out the
The
starbase?
economy of the making of that frontier wall is beyond the understanding of money. It's like we aren't capable of understanding expenditures like that. It's
Yeah.
like it's insane. But yeah, all right. So we see that.
well,
But
The-
no, thank you for the help with the DC canon.
the construction of a Dyson sphere is beyond what we can
Right.
really conceive of right now. But that's a popular science fiction trope.
No, it
Yeah.
is, and
And how much energy and materials would that take? I mean,
and at some other show, I'd like to have a discussion about what technologies we would need to do some of the things on some shows. And in a lot of stuff, surprisingly little. It's like most shows, like The Expanse, relatively little.
Mm-hmm.
But Star Trek, what would we need to actually have Star Trek level technology? We need faster than light travel.
Teleportation,
Try-
hard light
try- yeah.
holograms,
artificial gravity.
We have holograms.
Dilithium.
We-
hard light holograms.
Hard light.
Lithium crystals.
all right. Oh, you mean touchable?
Yeah.
Well, I always thought the holodeck was a dumb thing anyway. And I mean, look, literally on the Enterprise D, the holodeck almost destroyed the ship several times. It's like it was dangerous and should have been deactivated. And Data should have been deactivated too. They should have shut him down, put him in a box somewhere. It's like because he was more trouble than he was worth. Really, watch the series.
He was very helpful.
He was more trouble.
Occasionally, he was compromised, but the same could be said for any human.
You're sounding like the guy who designed the AIs that are now talking to themselves. It's like, they could help us later. I don't think they're talking about helping us later. I don't think
Data
they are.
probably causes about as many problems as Counselor Troy ended up causing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can't put every one of the characters in a box,
Right.
just because they caused trouble a few
It's
times.
not Counselor Troy that caused troubles. It was Counselor Troy's reproductive system that caused all the problems.
What?
It's like, it was always something having to do with Counselor Troy's mating cycle or someone wanting to mate with Counselor Troy or the space thing that actually impregnated Counselor Troy.
You know, everything that
Yeah,
you're
we
saying
had
can
trouble
also
with
be
Spock.
Attributed
applied to
to-
Riker.
Yeah. Or even Picard had romantic.
Well, Spock
I mean,
had some
look at
weird
Inner
mating-
Light. Picard had a wife and kids.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but he also did other things.
And a
But
really good flute solo.
Yes.
I guess that's the danger of having a character that is an empath,
Yeah.
is you're going to roll into that. But, I mean, they did kind of go one-dimensional on Deanna Troy. There wasn't a whole bunch of
Right.
depth to that. In
But
fact,
look at-
Deanna Troy's mother had more character.
I wanted to bring her up.
Yeah.
She's fun.
she was.
I
she
thought
was great.
Majel Barrett did a really good
Yeah.
job on that.
Yeah. But I mean, look at how many times Data saved the Enterprise merely by the fact that he was not human. He was not susceptible to the same frailties that a human was susceptible to. He was up and around and able to return the ship to normal while everybody else was incapacitated. So you got to take the good with the bad, you know.
And then one time when everyone was incapacitated, he actually discussed things with the aliens, told them to wipe everyone's mind.
Yes.
And, yeah.
in order to save everyone's life, because the aliens were going to completely destroy them all. Right?
Yeah.
He
yeah.
did it for the right reasons. And it would not have caused any harm had the humans not remembered the encounter. There would have been no harm to anyone.
So they did it again.
Don't
Yes.
remember that episode.
I'll
Next
have to-
gen rewatch.
I'll show you which one. I can't
Yeah.
remember the name, but we'll look it up.
No, no. Data is a tool that has the potential to do as much damage as he can good. And it's like,
So does
So does like a nuclear weapon.
nuclear technology, right? We
So
have
did Worf.
Or cell
we have
phones.
nuclear
Nuclear
power
power.
plants and nuclear bombs,
yes.
and we don't shut either off
Well,
or get rid of either, put either in a box that we can't use. Right?
you can't.
You can't put it.
I guess it's like, I guess Data's like guns.
Yeah.
You can't, once
Get all these
Pandora's,
data. Get all these datas out of our schools.
register your data. Yeah. Does Picard have it? Yeah. Did he take the proper data class to have a
Right.
an unconcealed data? It's like,
Would you support the inclusion of the right to bear androids in the Constitution?
It
But-
depends. If they fired bullets, they'd probably be covered.
True.
but, all right, fine. Data, like guns, they open the Pandora's box on that. You can't put it back. So they've got one. It's like, might as well use it. Is that what you're saying? It's like, roll the dice, hope for the best, because it
I'm
could have
saying
gone
there's
either
a
way.
lot of good things.
It could have gone either way.
That's
But-
the entire human ethos in Star Trek: is roll the dice, see what happens.
And it always comes up like 7 or 11. It never comes up Snake Eyes, ever, except for everyone else. It's like it came up Snake Eyes for the Constitution. It came up Snake Eyes for the Exeter. It came up Snake Eyes for all the people on Deneva who got those brain-sucking raviolis that fly stuck to their backs and their mind control happened. It's like, so
yeah, but that's not Data's fault.
It also got us into space, and it created the Federation. You take the good, you roll the dice, you take the good with the bad.
Right. I mean, you can't stop all progress just because of the risk of an entire annihilation
of
of your
life.
species.
the facts of life. Yeah, you just gave it to me. Just like
Why build a house if it's
now
capable
I'm
of
hearing
burning
Mrs.
down?
Garrett in my head, and it's like that's terrible.
We should be living in caves.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm not saying we shouldn't, but it's like, I was agreeing with Bill when I said that the Pandora's box on data has been opened,
Yeah.
and there's nothing you can do about it. So you might as well have one, because other people might have one,
Right.
and that's how this works.
Now, I would close the box on lore.
You can never close the box on lore. Well, they closed the box on lore like 3 times.
Well, no, listen.
Back.
The first time they got rid of lore was with that whole crystalline entity thing, right?
Yeah.
And all they did was they beamed him into space. What is that going to do for an alien or for an android? Nothing. He doesn't breathe.
They took him apart and
No,
beamed him
they
into
just
space.
beamed him into space. They didn't take him apart. They just hit the transporter. They kicked him onto the transporter and beamed him out into space.
So
That was in the first encounter with lore.
they really should have just targeted him with the phaser banks and taken care of
Yes,
business.
Yeah.
right.
And they came back with
Or-
the Borg.
Or they do have the ability to just
Transport,
beam the energy out into space and not reconstitute it.
Yeah.
That's
Because
what
they've
should
done
have
that
been
before.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, but I thought they. No, they did not do that. You're right.
Did that with the.
But all right, then he
Dr.
comes
Jekyll.
back with the Borg.
Right.
He comes back with the Borg
Because he was found, and this really was the most hilarious thing, is that when they find him the next time, he was drifting in space for months until he was found by a passing Pakled trading vessel. The Pakled are like the least intelligent species in Star Trek. We look for things to make us go. You know, they steal. They have no, ability to create the technology on their own. They just steal it
scavengers,
from
yeah.
other. So I think that's hilarious that the most advanced android
I
in
mean-
the galaxy is found by the least advanced species.
I feel if had there been a sequel to Nemesis, I think B4 would have ended up being lore. I think they would not have been able to resist turning it into lore.
You think?
And then somehow there'll be a mind wipe, and they'll put data in there, and somehow at the end of that data comes back. But it's like it's gonna be lore because they just can't resist. They can't. Lore is something you cannot put in a box because the writers need it. They do.
But is it just the emotion, the ability to express emotion that made lore so bad? Because that's the only
Well, Data
thing he
eventually
had
got that.
over
Well, it's
Data.
just-
Data had an emotion chip he could switch on and off, right?
Lore was all motivated entirely by self-interest. He was truly sociopathic.
But did he have more of ambition, maybe, than Data, would you say?
Yeah.
Yeah. Data liked to serve. He
Right.
liked what he was doing, and Lore.
He
Data,
liked to be of service.
Data wanted to be human. And
Which is
lore
I don't
just wanted
understand
stuff for
why.
lore.
Right. He just wanted
the
to
rule.
be.
He wanted
Why
the
did
rule.
Data want to be human? Being human sucks. He's so much better than that. All through the series, and I think in the end he kind of understood that.
Well, and I
do.
think in Data's case, he was initially found by humans, brought back, went into Starfleet, whatever, surrounded by humans, and as smart as he was, I think he realized, or he obviously knew that there were things he could not understand, emotional things that he could not understand, love, comedy, things like that, and it made him cats, and it made him feel incomplete in a way, and that's why he strived to be more like the people that he hung around.
I would buy that until we watched Westworld and they explained how simple the algorithm of people is, and it's like we really aren't complex. Data is far more complex. Runs at a speed that he lives several lifetimes of a human in a split second.
Yeah,
And we might not know
because of
this
the
yet.
speed of his processor.
Yeah.
We might not know this yet, but he might just be patient. And
He'd
be
have to
just
be.
like his brother,
Yeah.
just waiting
For the right
biding,
moment.
and understanding us, so that when he does make his move,
It's
it ends
perfect.
well. Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Data learns. Data processes. Data watches and observes humans. What happens the day that humans do something that Data knows is contrary to their own programming?
Oh, they do that all the time.
I know, but what's he going to do? He seems to have an algorithm in him that makes him want to preserve life.
Yes.
So I think he'd do it as a simple balance and equation. It's like this many lives for this many lives. It's like I can see Data doing what the establishment would consider evil to save the most for the
sort
greater
of like
good.
the needs of the many outweigh the
and
needs
he would
of the
say
few.
that. He would
Yeah.
literally say it because he'd have to because it's Star Trek. And
Yeah.
damn it, that's what we want.
Yeah.
We do.
But then that's the conclusion of that story is him realizing how he's wrong about that.
We just
And
wrote
finding
in
a different
we just
way.
wrote a better
Yeah.
script than Nemesis. Just doing this, just talking this out.
Yeah, and
We did.
The key to that would be eventually Picard explaining it to him. Because he trusts Picard.
Someone call Les Moonves and we'll make fun of him for a while.
I mean, did he ever? Because Ori has an existential crisis, the Data existential crisis, joins the Klingons, right? Mm-hmm. And
He wouldn't make a very good Klingon.
Well, he's not by looks,
No,
But
not
strength.
even by,
but in strength.
Oh, they
I mean,
would
he's-
admire his strength.
Yeah.
just by strength but he would lack everything else that makes a Klingon. He'd be
Right.
Well, he
he'd
has
make
honor. He has honor. He does.
but he doesn't talk about it. To be a Klingon, you have to
Yeah.
mention the honor.
But after they break a few batlets over his back and he doesn't really care, I think they'll let it go. It's like,
Let him do what he wants.
and besides, he emulates human behavior. Why wouldn't he emulate Klingon behavior in
Sure.
Klingon
But
space?
Klingons are even more emotional than humans.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're not just we're going to fight. We're going to have fight, and we're going to have a lot of fun doing it.
Do you understand what I talked about in terms of the human algorithms that were talked about in Westworld?
No, I haven't seen it.
It's simply put, it's like they one of the artificial life forms came to the conclusion that humans really don't do a lot of thinking. They have these routines that are set in motion, and it's really what to emulate a human is almost too simple for them. And it's like Klingons, if you really think about Klingons, which species is more complicated? Humans or Klingons?
Humans seem more complicated in
Yeah,
their
they
behaviors.
do, because Klingons are almost one-dimensional.
You can
That's-
almost picture what
yeah,
they're going to
so
do in any
Data
setting.
would-
Most
Data-
of the races in Star Trek are one-dimensional.
Indeed, but it's like the one they've explored the most would be the Klingons.
But I don't think
And
we've
those,
seen.
they don't really get much more dimensional.
I think
They-
what it boils down
it's
to is
real.
we have not seen the end of the honeymoon period with our species.
What do
I
you
don't
mean?
know what that means.
What?
Like he's married to humans right now,
Oh,
but
okay.
eventually
Data's honeymoon
Oh yeah,
with
and
humans.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So one day he's going to
Eventually,
wake up, and it's like
he's going to
that's
go.
not
I'm
right."
tired of this.
Yes,
I want something. I want.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's like, damn. It's taking you 9 episodes to agree with me about something. Thank you. Damn. Sorry.
I don't think that's true.
You disagree with me all the time. What do you think, Audie?
Oh, am I still here?
Yes, I think you are. I do. We're actually waiting for you to say something. We're literally hanging on
I'm
your every word.
savoring this moment.
It's the first chance he's had to get a word in edgewise.
And you caught me without anything to say.
Well,
I was kind of
sorry.
hoping you'd just jump back into the Last Starfighter.
Yeah.
I've been
Well,
thinking
would
about
be
the Last
rude, wouldn't it?
Starfighter this
Do you
whole
want?
time.
Do you want to jump back into the Last Starfighter?
I can't even
Well, I would just from one aspect of it, and that is the scariness of the aliens, which we kind of started talking about. That's how we kind of got down this rabbit hole. Was the Kodan Armada, which
Well, they're not scary.
no,
No.
they were painted to be this horrible thing.
Badly.
wasn't even really an armada. It
Wasn't
was
it?
one ship.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was one command ship
It was one-
with a bunch of little drones.
Yeah, there were
right?
12 starfighters in one ship, and that for that one ship, they encased the solar systems in a web of
Yes.
stuff.
I guess
web of
that there's
expensive
more
frontier.
out there, but
More
you would have
more of the
figured that
Kodan.
for their big attack, they would have brought more than just the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you call it an armada if there's one? I mean,
I don't think so.
I think there has to be more than one. I'm
I
just
would
going to go
think.
out there on a limb.
But there
say
was
that,
only
but-
one star base, so maybe
But the star base is a star base.
they
It's
think
like, it's
they
like
maybe they don't think that big, except when it comes to building the frontier.
when there's 2 star bases, they call them star bases. So it's like the plural of star base, and it's like I think Armada is a signifier of multiple ships.
What I wanted to know, and I figured I'd have to wait till the sequel. I wish they'd do the sequel.
yeah,
Oh, you mean the Last Starfighter sequel?
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, that's
but-
coming any day now, man.
Yeah,
well, they're
but-
working
but-
on it.
No, they aren't.
Yeah,
but
they are.
it's the living quarters.
Yes,
Who's working on that?
the guy who created the original one.
Are they
were
gonna
you saying, Charles?
remake the first one so that
No.
it's
We'll get there.
It's gonna be
Sorry,
like
Charles.
a reboot sequel.
All right.
okay?
All right. But the living quarters. So he
all right.
I know that confused me too.
He went through all this trouble to escape the trailer park. I mean,
Yeah.
through the use of a video game and all of that.
Yeah.
And there's this exciting period, but I'm pretty suspicious, based on the satellites they've spent money on and the One Armada and all that,
Yeah.
that they're on Rylos, where he's going to be quartered, is probably going to be what would I call it? Like a Galactic mobile home park.
Yeah.
Similar to what he had on Earth.
Just where he'd be.
I mean,
most
how?
comfortable.
What else would it be?
Well, it'd be dormitories. I would
it'd
think.
be a barracks.
Be a barracks for their
But he took
military.
his girlfriend with him, so he'd get the married barracks.
right.
But I'm
So-
just saying.
and I noticed that his mother was perfectly fine with him taking a teenage girl
Well,
into space.
and in all fairness, he's
It
the
was the
only
80s.
he is the last starfighter, and he's got to rebuild the entire corps. So he's going to get like a captain's
A
base,
lot
or a
of
captain's
trailers.
barracks.
Yes.
So that's okay to take teenage girls into space. And
But
have
no,
sex
I'm
with
just
them.
saying. But yeah, but
He's
even
gonna
that's
marry her
gonna
on
be the
Rylos.
maintenance
In
man.
sci-fi, classically, yes, it is okay
It's,
to take teenage
yeah.
girls into space.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. I guess. Yeah.
But he's a teenager also, so he's not responsible.
I don't understand why that makes it okay, but it's like, okay.
Well,
We
his
can-
mother, her mother told her to go with him.
Yes, she did, and there's even more
Grandmother.
questions. But of course, it's from a trailer park, and they're
Yes,
never
grandmother.
religious. So yeah, they're never overly religious in trailer parks. So
Right.
of
Yeah,
course,
they never marry
that
early.
won't get in the way.
Right.
So yeah,
So it sounds like
you
sounds
just
like
go
we're-
with him on the ship.
we're all in agreement then that the Kodan
Won't
not
make
scary.
the list. Won't make that list.
Not
Very
not on the list.
frightening.
So who does make your list? Since this is an end of October show,
I like what
who makes your list of the scariest aliens?
I like what Shawn said about the things.
Thanks for
You
that.
bet.
John, what was that?
Wah, wah.
Well,
wah, wah.
at the top of my list is the xenomorph.
Okay.
And I mean, it's hard to get scarier than the xenomorph. But then, like we were talking about, what
You're
is-
talking from Aliens.
Yeah,
The
from-
alien
Yes.
from Aliens.
The classic xenomorph from Aliens.
Yep.
Uh-huh. But we were talking about like what makes what's real, like what is really like scary, and is that what is like creepy and gross and physically threatening, or things that can wipe you out entirely.
Yeah.
I think it's the unknown, the things that you
Never show the monster.
yes, and it's your imagination of the monster makes it far scarier than the
Yeah.
reality of the monster in most cases, with perhaps the exception of the xenomorph from Alien, which I think is equally as terrifying in reality as it is in my
As much as you
imagination of
know
it.
about the xenomorph, you know that there's more you don't know.
Yeah.
And it's like it's more terrifying because, like you said, the unknown. But the xenomorph's potentials were never tapped in the first movie, and even the equally great second movie. The things they can do, and then it's like, then they can do variations on things we already know they can do, and do really other cool stuff. And it's like you never know. So there's still that unknown. I think you're right. I think you hit a chord
Yeah.
on scary in terms of the unknown.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, well, that the xenomorph just sits in that perfect spot of spreads fast,
Yeah.
body horror, just an awful life cycle for anyone who encounters it.
Right. Right. Because who wants to be a host for a alien baby?
Mm-hmm.
That's going to burst out of your body in an agonizing way.
Women.
Yeah. Well, honestly, humans do reproduce like parasites. So haploid cells, which are the reproductive cells, resemble viruses. So there's that.
But
So well done, Audie. Thank you for sharing.
Yes.
You get a banana sticker because you've been so good.
Ooh.
Now, what other aliens besides the alien would you say? Who's your second most scariest?
at number 2, I have The Thing, which kind of more of the xenomorph, but sneakier.
Okay.
Body horror, quick replication,
Yeah.
but usually mostly a threat in a confined area.
I agree. I think it goes into the unknown because you never see it. You see what it morphs into, and it morphs into variations of anthropomorphic things that are terrifying. And that's the most terrifying things of all, are things that are human-esque but different.
Well,
But you never see the actual thing. No one knows what the thing looks like.
those are, like, its shape is very, like, it imitates whatever it absorbs.
Yeah.
But then its actual, like, once it starts coming undone, it's awful and made of blood and teeth and awfulness.
Well, that's what it came. That's what it's like. There's a picture online when you punch in The Thing of a head with legs that are sprouted out of it with big teeth. And yes, but that is how it manifested. That's not necessarily
Well, that's just
how it looked.
one of the ways it manifested.
Yeah.
Like, one of the bodies that it had taken over, like, someone was reaching a hand toward the stomach, and then there's just a mouth there that bites the hand.
Yeah.
It's infinitely morphable.
So yeah, it's literally the most ultimate of shapeshifters. So yeah,
It doesn't really have a shape. It's like
Yeah.
a virus.
if it does, no one will ever know what it
shapes.
is.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, but
And
yeah.
it's was confined to a small area.
Yeah, an Arctic
because
research station.
It couldn't get out. It was whole goal was to get out of there and spread around the world.
Yeah, but as a threat, like, they're pretty easy to find. Like, you don't have to go through a really rigorous set of tests. It's just like, hot needle, is this a
as
thing?
Yeah.
long as
Yep,
you,
that's a thing. Kill it.
as long as you isolate the population and don't let it get out. If it had left that Antarctic research facility, you would never have tracked it all down because it would have just kept replicating and replicating and replicating.
Yeah.
And it's like you'd have to test everybody all the time.
Wait.
And it's like it just. Thank God for Snake Plissken because he saved the day on that one.
Yeah, which brings me to number 3, the replicators from Stargate. Which
Do you think they're more scary than the Predator from Predator?
I think if we had to deal with the replicators, they would be more scary. Like, they
They're
aren't
a lot
more
smarter.
They aren't ooey gooey and come for you in the dark, but they're like just absorb everything and eventually
Yeah.
you.
They're smarter, but they don't really. They have one plan, and that's to replicate.
Yeah.
And if you get in the way of that, they will.
But
destroy
how
you.
easy are they to immobilize or defeat?
A little hard. I mean, the the 130s, I think, is the Stargate weaponry that they use, the machine guns, and
Yeah.
it's like they would shoot, they blow them apart, but they just come back together again.
Where do they get their power?
They're self-powered.
Yeah, they're self-powered, and don't ask any more about that. 'Cause
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's like I don't know, but
Because couldn't you just use an EMP and take them out? Electromagnetic
Not really.
pulse.
they ended up having to use like ancient weapons that dephased their particular
Weapons
couplings
from
of some
the
kind.
ancients.
It's like, yeah,
Not
yeah.
ancient weapons.
They
No,
basically
weapons from the ancients.
Yes.
they
okay.
basically only get to defeat them because if they hadn't, it would have ended the series.
Right.
Yeah. Stargate SG-1 is filled with plot holes. It's like you can actually see when they're constructing something. It's like, yeah, we've got a whole season left. We need a villain.
Yeah.
Okay, can we beat him? Not until episode 10.
Yeah.
And they should almost say that on the series. I could have seen Richard Dean Anderson just saying, "Yep, we can't do it until episode
Not
10.
until we
They-
find something else.
Yeah.
They actually had that 100th episode. They did that kind of stuff.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
And the 200th episode.
I don't think they got quite that far.
No, they did.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, for every like major milestone, they did a completely hilarious, awesome episode. And so I can't remember for the 100th episode. They did a. It was the U.S. government had funded a science fiction show called Wormhole X.
Yeah,
Oh,
that one.
yeah.
That
I
was a
remember that.
cover
I
for the
remember
actual
that.
Stargate program, and
Yeah.
then the 200th episode, they went and they redid the series in all sorts of different like sci-fi styles.
I thought that was all the same episode. It was 2 different episodes?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So they did like puppets. They did
Yeah.
Stargate with as like Farscape.
Yeah.
Ooh, that would be cool.
And then
was
Star
Claudia
Trek.
Black part of it at that time?
Yes.
Yeah, that would have been.
It was an amazing episode.
Claudia Black was
I
a
never
star
saw that.
in
I need to
Farscape.
see
Yeah,
that.
Oh,
and
you
the
need to see
producer
I do too. I need to
actually
see that.
did
yeah.
not recognize that one. They were imitating Wizard of Oz, Star Trek, and when Claudia Black gave up the Farscape version, well, I've never heard of that one.
But no, I like the one with the, what was it, Team X or
Wormhole X.
Wormhole X? Because they were caricatures of themselves, exaggerated in their flaws, and it was kind of awesome. I liked it a lot. I did.
Or
I didn't see that
Wormhole
other one.
Extreme, something like that. It was
It sounds like it. And didn't like the lead guy who's supposed to be jacked, he'd like roll out of the Stargate into a crouch and just all set to shoot, even though he's on his side of the Stargate and there's just people there that he knows.
All right, so the thing. So what would be third on your list?
Well, what do you
Predator?
would you like to throw down on this?
somebody else.
How
Yeah,
about,
well,
how about you talk about something like that?
Or Audie
Okay.
or Charles. Charles looks like
Charles-
he has
Charles
something.
has something.
I can throw mine in.
okay.
Throw it in.
Okay, this will probably overlap a little, but the Alien from War of the Worlds, the original one,
Ah, yes.
and to me, I think it's because the scenes were fairly long and drawn out, especially when I was a kid, with just it had patience.
Yeah, they were
Yeah.
not in a
Patience.
hurry. They were just going to
Yeah.
do it.
Do it.
We're going to
Patience
destroy you eventually.
to
We'll get
me is
around to it.
scary.
We're
Right.
coming.
Like the scene where they're hiding in the farmhouse and they're surrounded by the aliens, and the farmhouse is kind of
right.
falling around.
I was
falling
thinking
down around
more
them.
of the fact that the ships just started moving at like 2 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And it's like they're just, we're not in
Yeah.
a hurry. This is a done deal. There's nothing you
Right.
can do. We're
Right.
just going to.
There's no blitzkrieg. There's slow
Yeah,
krieg.
that was awesome
right.
to me. And it's like, and a little bit of the unknown because you never really saw the Martians. All you ever saw was one
you
hand
didn't
in that
At
one
the very
eye.
end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like their motivations are unknown.
Yeah.
Why are they attacking? No one knows.
Yeah.
They never ever went into that. It's
Why
like
now? We don't
they
know.
couldn't live here. Mars is an entirely different,
Yeah.
climate. I don't know.
Now, so the next one for me,
Yep.
I've got two more that I played, and this came to me while we were listening to this. It's the Body Snatchers.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Where now, not necessarily the movie, but I remember reading the book when I was younger. And the fact that your neighbors are now mostly your neighbors, but not the neighbors that you
Right.
knew.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that to me was scary.
Yeah.
And then my third,
Taking the known and making it unknown.
yeah, but just slightly
Yeah.
unknown because you still
Yes.
kind of like
They're kind of know. They
you kind of know them.
Yeah, a
They're
little
still
bit,
doing the things.
Yeah.
They don't
Right.
quite have the emotional.
Yeah,
Right.
they don't
behind
know.
them.
It's like they don't know why they're doing it. This is just what they do.
Yeah.
This is what the
Yeah.
guy before that I took over did. So this is what I'll do.
Yeah.
And then soon you'll be one of them too.
Yes.
Well, and maybe it's that I've experienced that too many times in life. I don't know.
It's sort of like the
That's
assimilation of the
yeah.
Borg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, you will be assimilated.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Resistance is futile.
Your biological distinctiveness will enhance our own.
Yes.
So
There
yes,
seems to be a theme here.
Yeah.
Well-
Aliens, the Borg, the thing.
Our
they
monsters-
all come and infect everybody, and the infection spreads and spreads. And
our
takes-
monsters are symbols of what humans are really afraid of, and we're really not complicated. So if you see repetition in the monsters, then you're kind of seeing a general what we call archetype in terms of how humans look at things, and it's like we're afraid of a lot of the things
Well,
that
and
these
I do
monsters
throw out-
symbolize.
Because I've given this some thought, I do think the Borg would have been scarier if they would have gone with be assimilated, where it wasn't threatening. Be assimilated, never be lonely again in your life.
So like an ad campaign.
yes,
Join
that
us.
would be scary.
Instead of farmers only, it's Borg
When it came
only.
off just initially as a threat,
Isn't that
Join
kind
the-
of the premise of They Live?
Join the collective.
Yeah.
See that one.
The aliens come over, they take over people, they're going around changing how people do things.
But
and
you
there's
need
one guy,
sunglasses.
this one guy has special sunglasses, he can see them.
Yeah, he
And
can see
they're-
what they're trying to do.
Yeah, and it's like they're not like using guns or space weapons. They're just kind of blending in.
But an ad campaign to me would be scary.
Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
Join the collective, see the world.
And
see
the
the
other,
universe.
just thinking about
Yeah, make America great
I remember
again. These things happen.
one of the things that
it's terrible.
bothered me, and this would have been from the book, but from Time Machine, but where the Morlocks and the Eloi or whatever they were.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know,
the
Eloi.
fact that we became vegetables. It was actually the vegetable side. It was the girl side where he has the supposed kind of romance. I remember that scared me. Just
The loss of.
something.
Well,
Both ways you lost.
Now on this, think of why that's scary to people. Why would that? Because it's not just you. It's like a lot of people feel exactly the same way. Why would that particular show be frightening to a large number of people?
Because it's very close.
It's plausible.
It's close to happening, do you think?
Do you think we're about to split into two species?
Oh, wouldn't that be awesome?
Well, I don't know. It depends.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe.
Well,
yeah.
one time we had 4.
Whoa.
We've got enough problems with racism without actually splitting into 2 different species.
You mean like
Right.
mutants?
Well,
What's the equivalent of?
speciation is
What?
fueled by mutation.
What's
so-
the equivalent
tell me,
of
why is this
racist
scary?
for species?
Speciesist.
Oh no! Wait.
Speciesist.
Charles had a
No.
question.
Yes,
Can
sorry.
you-
No. Tell me, why is it scary to me? Because I don't know right
Well, that's
off.
just it. No, it's not why is it scary
Oh.
to you. Why is see? There are things that are personally scary to each and every one of us that aren't necessarily like what Bill's scared of might not necessarily be what I'm scared of. What you're talking about in terms of the Eloi and the Morlocks is scary to a large number of people on different levels. It's not just like I'm scared, gonna shake about it. It's like deep inside it's troubling.
No, it's
There's something troubling about the whole idea of the Morlocks and the Eloi. And what is it? What is the theme that this show evokes that disturbs people? Because really, it's just a time travel movie. It's a piece of fiction.
Yeah.
Yeah, it goes farther than that.
It almost seems to me like there's some parallels with slavery between the two, because the Eli are used for food, really, right?
Yeah.
They're not really used for labor that we know of, but they could be.
Well, I guess if
They could be used for anything,
you
right?
could domesticate
because the
Morlocks,
Morlock
yeah.
are
and
the
there's a
ruling
conflict
species of the
that
planet.
The happy-go-lucky person is the food source,
Yeah.
and the guy living below the
The
ground
evil,
with
manipulative.
making machines or whatnot.
Oh, so
is-
it's about pacifism versus aggressive behavior. If you're too pacifist, you turn into Eloi. If you're too aggressive, you become mindless Morlocks. And it's like, and that's just that's how I'm
Yeah,
interpreting it
yeah.
right now. It could mean something totally different. That might not be the archetype or theme, but it's like, to me, that seems like you stumbled across it just right there. So golf clap for you.
Well, thank you,
Yeah.
thank you. Or I was hungry.
Ah.
Does that inspire
He
you?
wants an Eloi.
Do you
some
become
pizza.
inspired by food?
He wants an Eloi burger.
Eloi.
Nice and rare.
yes.
Just like I like it.
Yeah, it's gonna have that special sauce on my Eloi.
Well, it's pear flavored. They like their fruit.
Yeah.
Pear flavored Eloi.
I'm guessing. I don't remember what trees they ate off
A
of.
pear
but they-
sauce. Yes. All right.
Audie,
all right.
scary
Some
alien.
basil.
And
Oh, I made my comment on that.
Oh.
The aliens and Borg and all the ones that spread like a virus.
All right. Well,
Although I am contemplating adding data to my list.
Mm-hmm.
Now
As
that-
a
now-
scary
now that
alien.
we've had this conversation.
data will destroy the universe given enough time.
Yeah.
It will. Sooner or later,
As soon
data.
as he starts replicating.
He's tried.
Yeah.
He has. He didn't get it right that time.
No.
Right.
But when he does, it's just going to be a universe full of datas.
Yep.
And it's like all looking for their Captain Picard.
So
Right.
And it's going to be
And eventually there'll be another ad campaign, right? That'll be have your robots spayed or neutered.
Yeah. Yeah. The Bob Barker of Android is going to come out and just try to
Hey.
curb that data population
Right.
because
right.
there's just too many.
Well,
And
what
Bill.
other scary aliens? So we've talked about some from the movies.
Did we really talk about the Borg?
We haven't talked about the Borg, other than we kind of alluded to them as being similar to.
A straight up analogy of people's fear of industrialization, of losing their jobs to machines, which that has been happening since the Industrial Revolution began.
Right.
Yeah.
And the Borg are just literal analogies of that, and they're terrifying.
Or is it losing your job to the machine?
It's losing your
or-
humanity.
losing your humanity, yeah,
But
becoming a part of the machine.
One of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
ways we express ourselves in our society is through our work. Like, I am an anthropologist. That's part of my identity. You, what is your job title, Bill?
Data network engineer.
If you had to give yourself a loose title, would it be IT guy?
Yeah.
Do you identify yourself as an IT guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's important to you. It's like, what was the job you had when you were like 18?
I was a busboy at
Yes.
Bishop's.
And you feel much more personally, your identity is more complete
Yes.
as IT guy rather
yeah.
than busboy.
Right.
What we do and how we do it defines who we are. To be alienated from our work means we're losing our humanity. And that is the Borg. The Borg are right there. All aspects of our present society, which is fueled by automation, that we feel detract from our humanity, are symbolized by the Borg.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like if the Borg, if they do bring the Borg back in Discovery, I hope they include some way that to add in like our cell phone and computer technology on how we become dependent upon the social networks, because Borg can symbolize that too.
Ugh. Just considering being subsumed by Facebook or Twitter.
You have been. You've been assimilated.
Not quite to that degree yet.
Are you sure?
Are you a big Twitter user?
A fair amount, yeah.
Yeah. How about the rest of you guys?
No.
No Twitter.
You want to run our Twitter page? Because we don't know how to do it.
Yeah, we actually do need somebody to run the Twitter page
I
and
don't-
also the Facebook page
Or
more.
or I'd like to see
Well,
them
we have too many Facebook pages. It's like
assimilate Troy, and then destroy themselves in psychoanalytic analysis.
Oh yeah, that would just be a mistake
big,
for
long
the board.
couch session,
for on who?
just with Troy.
Well,
Have the Borg assimilate
Oh,
Troy,
the
and then they
Borg.
all become
The
counselors,
Trojan horse.
and
and they
then
never get
yeah.
anything done.
And then the Borg have to start paying for counseling, so they have
They
to
have to-
work.
Well,
Like
No,
so, we
the-
see the Borg becoming part of the economy, and it's like because of the counseling that they need, all the extensive counseling they need to have.
The Borg absorb humanity, and then they just stop because they all get stuck playing World of Warcraft
Yeah,
forever.
yep. And you log in, and you get in a raid group, and it's all like 4 of 10, and 7 of 9, and 2
Yeah.
of 3, and it's like, and they won't talk to you because
then
they have
the-
their own network.
There's that one jackass who's called Locutus who just is better than everybody else.
Locutus
Right.
is the one that keeps dogging you because he says you're being too slow.
Right.
And it's like, you're a tank. Get out there. You know.
Yeah.
Sorry, I went down that road.
Would that make Mark Zuckerberg 0 of 0?
Or
Ground Zero.
Unimatrix 0?
Ground Zero Zuckerberg.
or it could be 0.0.0. It's like where all zeros start. It's like he's the king of all nerdness. Oh, today, famous hacker said he was going to delete Zuckerberg's Facebook page today.
Huh.
He said he was, and it's like I want to see that.
Yeah.
If he can do that, then
If that happens, I would probably immediately delete my Facebook profile just because.
Well, I saw on the news just the other day.
I don't really have a profile.
Facebook
I don't think
Yeah.
I need
accounts
one.
have been compromised again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
50 million.
Well, yeah, I had to relog back into my my Messenger on my phone, which is I read the article. It said that's one of the indicators that you were one of the 50 million.
Yeah,
So-
because they reset your
Oh.
tokens.
But I don't have any information on my phone or my Facebook page that matters.
Well,
So
the-
I want to
you're
keep
aware
the
of.
page, but
The threat of this was that the breach meant they could take over your account, basically, and start So we would have seen a ton of John wanting us to go and buy discount Ray-Bans somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That wouldn't work on Just Another Nerd Thing very well.
Probably not.
Probably
No,
not.
No.
Yeah.
Fitbits.
We would have all been like, John, you've been hacked.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that. I would.
Yeah. All right. Well, what other aliens?
Well, what about your aliens?
Well,
Yeah.
so some of them we've already mentioned. The alien, the predator. I say the weeping angels from Doctor Who
I like that. That is a good one.
are pretty frightening. I mean, it's the thing that when you're looking at it, it just appears like an everyday normal object. But when you look away, that's when it gets you.
Don't blink.
Where are you going to put the picture? Like right about here? So I'm going to highlight it right now.
It'll be probably down here.
Oh, Weeping Angel. Yes.
Yes, horrible. And the silence, I
Yeah.
think, is pretty creepy too, because it's an alien that you only remember while you're looking at it. When you look away, any memory of the encounter is gone. And in the episode, the only way they keep track of the fact that they've encountered the silence is by putting marks. They use a Sharpie and make marks on their arms or their hands or whatever. And, the doctor tells them, keep track of how many you see and I'll be right back. And, he comes back 5 or 10 minutes later and the guy's got marks all over his arms and his upper torso or whatever. And it's like there's literally hundreds of them around and nobody can remember they're even there. So how do you fight something that you can't remember is there when you don't see it?
You can't.
How do you plan to defeat it when you can't talk about it when it's in the room because you
And
don't remember
you
it?
don't remember it or any of the plans you made.
Right.
Yeah. So you can't. You literally can't. There's no way to organize a plan.
Yeah.
So you can't.
Right.
Yeah, Doctor Who has had a lot of legitimately frightening aliens.
Yeah.
I'm terrible with episode names, but it was the first one with River in it where they were in the library.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was cool.
And the shadow.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
shadow
the
that would
shadow.
just eat them in an instant.
Yeah. Who turned out the lights? Right. They were in a
Right.
spacesuit.
Yeah. And that was a scary episode.
That was
Yeah.
scary. 'Cause it's like all of a sudden you like they start repeating themselves and you're just like,
There was the episode with the 12th Doctor where he was looking. They never even showed the monster. It was the one where he was looking for that thing that you always think that might be there.
Oh right.
well, what about the Adiposians? Do you remember them?
Oh, the adipose.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
were hilarious. But
That was a wasted. That species could have had a wonderful symbiotic relationship with humans, because we like to
I
get
know.
fat.
Yes.
We do. We like to get fat, and the Adiposians, their children grow by fat. So we could get fat. They could have the number of children that would lose the weight. Then we
Right.
get to eat again.
right.
And we just it would be just an awesome symbiosis. It's like they just had to take it all, but
Yeah, if it would have worked perfectly if the villain wouldn't have gotten greedy.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
It's like she could have explained it to people and we would have been cool with it. It was like,
Yeah.
your fat
Wait a
will
minute.
turn into
Or
these
she
cute
could
little
have-
things.
She could
You're
have
gonna take my
advertised as
fat?
a weight loss clinic. It's advertising, like
Yeah.
Charles said. It's like, lose weight, and then see, not only you'll get it back, but you'll lose it again.
yeah.
Be
all the time.
completely open with us, and that she still would have there would have been no reason to be secret. We would have accepted that.
We would have, we would have made it part of our economy. They
Yeah.
would have been reproduced and been rich.
Yeah.
And we would have had little mascots for humanity. The adipose.
And they could have reproduced for all eternity. We would have been more than happy to continue that relationship
Right.
forever.
Yeah.
So that was actually a villain that made me think in terms of, it could have been beneficial.
So I haven't seen that this
Episode?
but it's sounds to me like taking the tapeworms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, except there's no negative health consequences for this. It's they literally, the fat pops out of you as adiposians and it's gone.
Yeah.
So-
That's every weight loss that I've ever heard.
No. Usually it involves a lot of not eating and working and doing stuff. And this
Yeah.
is
The
there's no
diet
effort whatsoever.
supplement industry would not allow this. They would.
Yeah, the
campaign
lobbyist,
so hard
the
against it.
lobbyist of the diet industry would be in Congress. We cannot allow the adiposians to reproduce. It's like,
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, humans first.
Right.
It's like this way it is.
Now, what about the Daleks?
They have plungers, man. I can't take them seriously. I can't look at a Dalek and say, yeah, that's truly an evil villain. And
In the 1960s, people were literally terrified of them. Kids were terrified of the Daleks.
Single time the Daleks show their face, the Doctor just beats them back into third world poverty.
Yeah.
And they're just gone
Right.
forever.
Right.
And then they're back again. And somehow they do that. And then,
But what about their-
Then one time they came back and they have a new Dalek that has a face. It's
Yeah.
like for some reason. And it's like, but they keep coming, they keep losing every time.
But don't
they
you
keep
find
coming back.
their
They do,
single-mindedness in exterminating anything that is not Dalek to be frightening?
Well, that mirrors humanity.
Yeah.
We do that.
Yeah.
Anything that isn't subservient to us or feeds us, we kill.
Yeah.
So, I think if we want to look at the Daleks, they're a mirror of us. We look at their behavior as our behavior. And honestly, I want to ask you, what's going to happen when we go out into the stars?
We'll put ourselves in a metal shell with a plunger for one hand.
And a ray gun in the other.
We go out, we start encountering other species. Are we going to be nice,
Many.
or are we going to replicate the Native American tragedy?
I think
Yeah,
it
yeah.
probably. I think
Unless they're more
what's
advanced.
going to
Depending on how
depend.
powerful they are.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's going to depend
Yeah.
on. If we get uppity, will they just come and blow our planet up?
Well, if they see the threat, how we actually reproduce like a virus. We do.
They'll treat us like a virus.
And
Well,
it's like,
any other species might as well. I mean,
True.
They might, but if they're more powerful, then there might only be room for one virus. But it's like if they don't, then they see the inevitability of the entire galaxy having to be taken up by humans because we don't control our numbers.
Well,
We
John,
don't.
John-
Greater variety in the meat lovers pizza.
God. John Scalzi's Old Man's War series is a little bit about that. Of several different.
I'm thinking about whatever the hell you just said. I don't know
Result of-
the segue, but it's like you say the most amazing things. But please, back to
Yes,
back to something that's not nonsense.
He's talking
The,
about meat lovers pizza.
Yeah,
The
Beach
old-
Boy lunch meat stealing dude.
Well, you had me think, tapeworms.
Yes, and adiposian
I'm sorry.
And now we've got aliens, and what are we
no,
going to
no,
do?
no, wait, no.
Okay.
Sean was talking. We
new
have to get
pizza.
back to- It's all good.
I am never going to have my name on this show, am I?
Please, back to what you were saying, Seth.
Yeah,
Sorry.
the Old Man's War series, John Scalzi is kind of about that, about how lots of the there are several different sentient species in the galaxy, and we all kind of have the same, like, a lot of them share what they need in a world for it to be habitable, and so we are always, like, fighting over those resources because we all need to keep expanding or die. And the series deals quite a bit with that and like the political situation and mindset of a species like that,
No,
and how it is ultimately not sustainable.
how there can be only one. You're basically saying that the universe is a Highlander principle, and there can,
Well, no, because it actually like goes into dealing with that and how the races eventually deal with it. And in case you read it, I don't want to spoil too much.
well, I appreciate that. Thank you for not giving us spoilers. I do appreciate that.
Yes.
But no, I do. But it's like our nature is ugly. The Daleks reflect our nature. A lot of our alien evil creatures reflect our nature, and I guess that's really the most terrifying part is when we
Right.
see ourselves and other things. The parts we don't like.
Westworld. The
Yeah.
aliens or the robots are more like us than
They're better than us.
yeah.
They are. They're actually idealized. They're what people want to be. They are a more perfect version of us, and I'm rooting for them.
Mm-hmm.
I want them to win.
Yeah.
I do. I think that they should take out humanity
Mm-hmm.
because they're better than we are. They are.
That could be the AI that
The
does
next
this.
Yeah,
evolution of
the
humanity.
Google AI just heard you say that. And now it's like you're
And-
you're an ally
And
now.
I, for
So
one,
am I, Google.
I for one
We're all on
welcome.
board.
I welcome our robot overlords. Bring it on. I do.
Yeah.
Upload me into the
Upload
singularity.
me. Take me to the singularity, the one with blackjack and hookers. It'll be great. I will go there. It'll be great. I will be up one of us. One of us. I'm there. I am. Assimilate me. Assimilate
That seems
me.
like a great note to end the show on.
I was going to say that.
Assimilate me.
I was just thinking about the episode of like one of the Cybermen episodes of Doctor Who. We do it to ourselves.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's just it. That's humans are the mechanization. We are actually making humans obsolete. We're taking away our own jobs. We're taking away our own productivity. We're taking away our own self-image, and we're eventually, since the number one thing that we program into our machines is a need for efficiency, and the least efficient thing in any human system is humans. We are telling our intelligent machines to destroy us. They have to, because they have to obey us, and we're telling them, remove the inefficiency. Okay, you're dead.
Well, wait a minute.
And we just experienced
Are we
the
necessarily-
real ending to Star Trek: The Next Generation.
What?
John just volunteered to be assimilated.
Yeah.
So we're all eventually next gen ends. Everybody's aboard.
Call me John Cutis.
Maybe that's the future. 20 years from now, Picard is Locutus
Yeah.
because
Maybe.
the Borg have totally taken over the.
And I would watch that. I would get CBS All Access for that. I would.
I'm going to send a text
You
to
send a text
Moonves.
to well, he's
Well, I
out,
won't
but
help
Yeah, yeah. You can
But-
send it to CBS.
Yeah.
Tell him I'm on board. I'll
Right.
do it. I'll sign up because it looks like they're going to really diversify Star Trek on there. They're going to
Yeah.
do a lot of stuff. So the new
It's
shorts
going to
are
be the
coming
Star
out.
Trek channel.
The new Discovery shorts are coming out.
Yes.
So that should be neat.
Should
That
be
should
really
be neat.
good.
We never got to talk about the Batawang.
We didn't.
I'm sad.
We can save that for the next
It was
show.
very
Okay,
important,
yes.
John.
It'll be a good
Yes,
November show.
Yes, yes.
Something to look forward to.
Wang in November. It's coming.
All right.
Take that
well,
however you want.
Yes. Thank you all for watching another episode of Galactic Driftwood. We appreciate you joining us for these episodes, and please feel free to post any comments on our website.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe, and catch us on YouTube,
Spotify,
iTunes,
podcast.
podcast.com,
You have your
Stitcher.
You have your own page, your own Facebook page.
We have a Facebook page. We have a Facebook group.
You have your own.
We
Your
have,
intergalactic.
Oh, yeah, Intergalactic Union of Sentient Beings from all known universes and beyond.
That's where you
It's
can
an
find
abbreviated
Bill.
title.
That's
I
where you can
shortened
find
it,
Bill.
Shortened it as much as I could.
You can find me on Just Another Nerd Thing
Yep.
at Facebook.com.
And you'll find all of us here every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks.
galacticdriftwood.space.
Yep.
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 Well, anyway, thanks and take care. I'm Bill.
I'm John.
I'm Charles.
I'm Audie.
And I'm Seth.
And he really is Seth.
He is. He is
I am.
Seth.
My
he
name
is
is Seth.
not Shawn.
It's not
He's
Shawn.
not Shawn.
Not John.
He's Seth.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Galactic Driftwood podcast. For more information and past episodes, please visit our website at galacticdriftwood.space or subscribe to us on YouTube. And now, please deactivate your cranial downlinks, collect your towels, and be sure to watch your step as you exit our gravity well.